What's up guys, Maxim here, welcome back to another video. I hope you guys are doing fantastic, and in this video we're going to be updating the previous 7 deadly sins tier lists that I made like back in February. And yeah, there's a lot of new characters that came to the game since then that I'm hoping to cover in order to give the new players and the people that are not familiar with all the characters, or they're still working on their boxes and wondering which characters are good, which characters are bad. So hopefully this tier list is going to be giving some sort of overall ideas or perspective from someone that's been playing the game for a while and have every character leveled up at the moment. Yeah, but before jumping into that, if you guys are not subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. Currently more than 80% of you that watches the videos are not subscribed yet, so please hit that subscribe button, it would help a lot. With that being said, let's get started. I'm going to be covering every single character in the game. I try to think about maybe just keeping the tier list as it is from the previous video, but I thought about it and it seems much more worth to cover each character and also talk about them briefly in order for you guys to actually understand each character's probably in some depth. So let's just take them as they go as usual. So starting off with Red Bond, he's currently has no gear or no use in the game. Let's talk about the shard as well, because I totally forgot about that. The shard is actually consistent of God, amazing overall, good for certain tasks in the game, can be used early in the game, currently has no use in the game, well units and not on global yet. God is actually broken, characters that has high CC, high damage, they're good in everything PvE, PvP, whatever you put them, they actually have some sort of placement in the game where you can actually use them all the time. Amazing overall is going to be for a character that has high CC. They're probably going to be used in some scenarios, and plus they're going to be good associations for a lot of characters. Good for a certain task in the game. It's going to be for characters that has a certain task in the game, or can be a support unit. They can be a unit that has that can be in the back and does probably a boost for a certain character or stuff, so we're going to be putting it there. Can be used early in the game is for characters that can be used early on in the game, but once you actually reach mid to late game, you probably have to abandon those characters and stop using them. Well units are the broken units or the good units that you can actually spend so much resources on for them to actually be good for something. We're going to be covering those characters. There isn't a lot of them, but there is a couple. They're really good. They're not god level, but once they're giving some boost, they can actually be very, very good. That's why you actually need to spend so much resources on, or cash if you're spending money on the game. Not on global yet is actually self-explanatory, which is they're not overall on global, so they're probably on JP, but they didn't come to global yet. With that being said, I hope you guys actually understood the shards. So let's carry on with putting the characters in their right criteria. Of course, Red Bond can be used early in the game. You're probably gonna get him randomly from the part 1 ticket, because I believe he's there. So if you happen to get him, he once you reach that probably once you reach chapter 3 or chapter 4 in the game, you're probably not gonna use him anymore. So he's currently has no game in the game, no use in the game right now. He has no use in the game. She has some good tasks in the game. She can be used. She actually have a good passive, and she's very exclusive. Not everybody gonna have her. I think she came once or twice in a few banners, and she's called Anniversary Goddess Elizabeth or something. She have a card where she actually buff characters, so she can be good for some of the gray the knighthood bosses, I believe. So we're going to be placing her there. Blue Jericho, she's actually no use in the game. Bond, he's actually good for a certain task in the game. He can actually be good for Red Demon at the moment, but if you have the one Ascanor, he's actually much better right now. And plus if you pair him up with Easton, and plus if you actually pair him up with the other nunchuck bond, is actually much more scenario. But If you don't have both, you can actually use him for Red Demon. He can be very, very good. Fat King is actually not used in the game right now. Helbram can be very, very good because he's one of the best buffers in the game currently. And yeah, his passive is actually really, really good because his passive is actually when he dies, I think he gets revived. So it's actually really, really good. Yeah, and he has like a really strong buff. You can actually use him in some of the final bosses and knighthood bosses, and you can actually use him for Grey Demon as well. So yeah, good for a certain task is actually good. Currently has no use in the game. You can actually use him for Red Demon as well, because he has a really high crit chance and crit damage, especially in the first HP of the Red Demon. And plus, like, if you have Sariel and give him as Link, he's going to be doing like an extra damage, because as you guys know, Sariel Grace is actually I think lowers crit resistance and crit defense on characters if a crit how attack actually happens. Can I call it like that? And of course, Blue Diane is actually can be used. Like, she have a really strong ultimate, but currently she does have no use in the game. Red Escanor is actually amazing overall right now, because a lot of people have him like leveled up right now. And if you have him like HP and defense for some reason, I don't recommend it. But if you have him like 6/6 and HP and defense, he can be a great association, because he's Escanor and he has like a really high CC. So why not actually have him in order to use him as an association? And plus, he's a coin chop unit that you can actually get without summoning. So if you play the game for a while, you're most likely going to be having 6/6. He has no use in the game. He can be used for like 4v4 if it ever comes back in PvP, but he's not like used for anything right now, unfortunately. Like, I'm going to be saying it right out of the bat that Bon, like, we have no good bond for PvP, or like probably like for PvE, for some PvE content, bond can actually be very good. But if you're planning to use him in PvP, we currently don't have. And plus, like, his base stats and everything is pretty low, so I wouldn't recommend you investing in bond unless like you're very invested in the character itself, and you enjoy like using it in different scenarios. Then why not? The main thing is that you're going to be enjoying the game, right? So that's something that you should keep in mind. Green King is actually one of the best characters in Grey Demon right now. And you get him for free, I believe, when you start playing the game. So you don't have to super awaken him. You just have to give him attack and crit damage, and plus bring Helbram, and maybe the person that is doing the raid with you as well, if you're doing it with a friend, can bring red I think green Gilgamore and Extreme, and you can actually pretty much one shot each stage. I actually made a video about that. If you guys want to see it, it's going to be in my YouTube channel. And of course, we have Red Demon Meliodas. He can be a great association because he has such a decent HP, and plus decent CC, but he currently has no use in the game. You can actually use him in the early game if you happen to have him, but he currently has no use in the game, to be honest with you. I'm going to be removing that, I think, currently used in the game. I think I'm gonna remove the can be used early game, because I feel like that one doesn't make sense anymore. Yeah, let's just make him like this, much more simple. I feel like Elioni can be actually a good unit to have in the back, and plus he's an R, so he can, because of his passive, basically, because they increase I think HP attribute characters attack rated stats by 10%, I believe, something like that. And he can be a great support unit, so therefore you can actually level him up once you actually have the access and materials. He currently has no use in the game. Unfortunately. No use in the game. She can actually be good for some scenarios, some final bosses, both of them. She has currently no use in the game. Of course, like these characters can be good associations for some characters, so keep that in mind. Currently has no use in the game. Gil Thunder is one of the best buffers in the game right now, and plus his passive is actually really good for some scenarios in PvP, because he actually increased defense related stats by 30% in PvP, and plus like he has a really good buff card, so that's why he's actually good in some scenarios. This Gil Thunder is actually not bad in PvP because he actually increased defense as well by 60% probably, I think. But he's actually limited to blue units, I believe. I haven't used him for a while, so I believe that's it. But he's such a like a late game character where you're going to be having like each character like already leveled up, and you have some excess and you want to try out some stuff in PvP, then why not actually level him up? We have Blue Garrymore, currently has no use in the game. Gother is actually amazing overall, I would say, right here. He's a character that I would say used to be the best character in the game before Green Gother came to the game, but I would say like amazing overall, just because of his rank up, and also like his passive is semi good if you don't have the green one, and plus like you have like the ult that is actually drains ult levels or ult like gouges, so he's actually really good. So you can actually invest like on him. So I think because like if you're in a scenario where you can't use the green Gother, the second amazing character that you can actually use is red one. Yeah, make sure you actually level him up. I think he's going to be good anyway. Currently has no use in the game. I know a lot of people are going to be saying he's good in some PvP scenarios, but I think he's such a like a late character that you can actually maybe use him in a certain team in Knighthood Wars in the future. But other than that, I don't think he's used for anything, so I don't advise you like to actually like spend like any resources on him at the moment, because like the game is like surrounding like meta units that you can actually use in PvP, and some of like even the PvP like the broken PvP units you can actually use in PvE, such in various like events and also like final bosses. So that's why it's like I don't recommend you to like level up characters unless you're very sure about them and you have like a certain usage for, because there's no way you can actually get back like or get those resources back unless you're spending money. Currently has no use in the game. I'm putting like the SSRs like together because they have like higher CC in the game. She has a good usage in the game because she's going to be increasing I think strength attribute characters attack rated stats by 10%, so she can actually be used in the back, and she's very handy. I've been using her whenever I'm using like a red character such as like Sario or something. She can be in the back and buffing them, and like she's actually really good, and she's very versatile, and plus she's an SR, so she wouldn't like use the same resources as an SSR a unit to level up, so she's very easy to level up. We have Green Garrymore. Unfortunately, like Green Garrymore is actually good for Knighthood Wars, but other than that he has no use in the game whatsoever, like so far, maybe in the future. So that's why I said currently and I didn't say has no use in the game, because these characters can actually be good for final bosses scoring. For some reason, like the devs actually give like the freedom for players to actually try out different characters in order to like to get higher score. So if you're not like familiar with the scoring system in the final boss, is actually like ranking. So whenever like you do a certain missions or get like a certain tasks done when you're doing the final bosses, you're probably going to be getting like a higher score, and the higher score you're going to be getting higher ranks in the final bosses. It's like an objective, and you get like various rewards once you get like those rankings. So probably, yeah, those characters can be good in some scenarios when doing the final bosses, so keep that in mind. But currently, if you're going to be doing PvP or farming or doing like a certain boss, these characters I have like no uses. Like I've been playing the game for a while and I never used them for anything else but probably like the reverse stages or something. He has no uses in the game right now, same as the green one. This guy has no uses in the game whatsoever. The blue one is actually similar to the red one, where she's going to be buffing like the speed attribute, characters attack related stats by 10%. She can be used in the back as well. Jillian is actually good as well, because if you're using like a green like units, she actually buffs them up, like, or increase their HP related stats by 30%, I believe. So she can be used if you feel like you're lacking in HP while doing like the tower trials or doing like a final boss where you think like your characters are green, and plus like they're missing out on some HP. So she can be used in the back as well. And plus like she's an SR unit, as I mentioned earlier, so she doesn't need as much resources as SSR units, so she can actually be good. Currently has no use in the game. Marmaz is actually good as well because he's the same as Jillian, so he's going to be increasing like HP related stats by 30% or HP by 30%, similar to Jillian, but instead of like a green attribute, or he's going to be buffing like the speed attribute or the blue attribute heroes. So he's actually not bad. Currently has no use in the game. This is like SR Meliodas that you get from the start. She's actually amazing overall. I would say she's actually a good unit that can be used in the back and used like in many scenarios just because of her passive, and she has like a good link or association for a lot of other characters. So and plus like she's easy to get. Her passive is actually like starting like the first turn with an extra ult gouge, so you can actually use her in ult rush teams where they're relying so much on rushing ultimate, and she's a great like association for a lot of Escanors and Arthur. So she's I would say, like, to be honest with you, if I would give like an advice to any new player, I would say don't hesitate on like investing some on all like the sins right now, like excluding Bon of course because he's not used, but I think like each of the sins are related to each other, so they're going to be like a good association. If you have like all the cosmetics not maxed out, probably like have 5 like cosmetics for each characters, so they can actually be good as well. Blue has like the highest CC in the game right now, I think, on all Gothers, but currently has no use in the game. Unfortunately, has no use in the game. Let's just speed through them. He's good for some scenarios, but he doesn't have like a consistent sort of like role, or like probably like a good position where you're going to be using him regularly, so I'm gonna place him there. Twigo is actually not a bad character. He actually like such as like Marmaz and Jillian as well, he's going to be increasing like HP related stats by 30%, but he's going to be like buffing the speed, not the speed, the attack or the strength attribute, which is like the red ones, by 30% instead. He has no use in the game right now. I'm trying to move on like very quickly so I don't make the video like 2 hours long. Has no use in the game right now, has no use in the game. Of course they can be a great I think I made a mistake here, because the red one, no, this is Liz Hawk. Okay, yeah, this is the one that I talked about earlier where I said like she's going to be healing. It's this one, because like they have the same icon almost. So this one is Liz Hawk. She has like some uses as well, because like her passive is actually going to be like hitting like a truck. If you want to like to use her for some I believe her passive is actually increased damage by 10% for each turn taking damage or something. So she can actually be good and do some damage, but I think this is the one that actually heals instead. Yeah, this one is the one that heals. So this one is the good one that actually can be used in the back. Sorry about that. I do apologize. This one is actually good for some scenarios because you can actually use her for Red Demon, or probably like some scenarios in like knighthood bosses as well, because of her passive, which is like starting like the first turn with 2 ultimate gouges. So and plus like her ult actually gives you like 2 ultimate gouges whenever you ult, so she's actually pretty handy. Currently she has no use in the game. No use in the game. Gustav have some use in the game. He's good for knighthood bosses, or some of them, just in case like you don't have like Red Demon. I would say like she has like some uses, but she's actually really late game. But since like we're not like I got her recently, right? And I never used her before, and the only thing that I use her for is actually like final boss Ascanor when it came out. And yeah, I don't know. She is good in a certain tasks in the game. She's not bad, but I never used her. It's not like like a I don't know, like a unit that you're going to be using regularly, but in some scenarios you're going to be using her, like probably for tower trials, because there is a tower trials that requires like units that use like debuffs and stuff. So yeah, like all the slime collab is actually useless. They're not used for anything in the game, and plus like you can't make them UR gear. So yeah, Hauser used to be good for farming, but ever since Green Chain came out, Green Chain is actually the better farmer, so he currently doesn't have any use in the game, but I'm gonna put him like good for a certain task in the game, just because if you don't have Green Chain, you can actually use him for farming. But there is Sario as well for farming, which is like the better than him. I wouldn't like invest like a whole lot on him. I would give him like an SSR gear if I want to use him and I don't have Sario or Chain to do the farming. But once you get those two units, I would just like put him here, no use in the game. Of course, he's going to be probably used in some scenarios such as like the final bosses or like something like that. But he currently has no use in the game, just in case like you have Shin or something. The slime collab, no use in the game. No use in the game. You can't even make them UR, which is quite stupid. No use in the game. Her passive is good in PvP, but she has no use in the game. Currently has no use in the game. Of course, like I said earlier, they can actually be good. I would say amazing overall, or good for a certain task in the game, because he's one of the best buffers. He has like such a good buff that actually make you immune to debuffs if you have like a level 3, and plus like he's such a great support for a lot of characters, but he has like a really low CC, and plus like there is like a lot of other buffers that you can actually like use. If he had like a better, probably like higher CC, I would actually place him in amazing overall, sorry. But I'm gonna place him good for a certain task just because of the buff and everything else. Currently has no use in the game. It's a fun character that to actually like work on in the future. Arthur has no use in the game. This is like, she's good for a certain task in the game. She used to be like I made like a whole new sort of like chart or tier for her, which is like called Suicide Squad, because like of her passive, which is like once she dies, or if she happens to die, she actually like heals full HP and give you 2 ult gouges, which is like helps a lot if you have like a team that is ult rush based. But I'm gonna place her here like good for a certain task in the game, just because she can be used in PvP if you want to for fun, and she been used in some scenarios where you can actually bring her for tower trials as well, so I'm gonna place her there. Green Ascanor used to be one of the best units in the game, but unfortunately he's fallen off because he doesn't have much usage anymore, and you're not going to be using him like anymore. But I would say he's amazing overall, just because of his high CC, and also like he's going to be a great association for a lot of characters, because he's a character that you can find on every banner, and you're most likely going to be 6-6ing him. So, and if you happen to like to work on Ascanor, or you've been playing the game for a while, you're most likely gonna have like a lot of cosmetics for him. You're most likely going to be having like a lot of gear or UR gear for him, so he's going to be a great association. So in order for him not to go to waste, he's going to be amazing overall, because he has one of the highest CC in the game. Green Jericho, she used to be one hell of a nuker before, but now since like Red Derriere came out, I would say like she's fallen off and she's barely used anymore. I would say amazing overall right now. She counters the meta, and I've been like seeing a lot of people using her in some of the final bosses, just like final boss Merlin. And of course you're going to be seeing her a lot in PvP once you reach like champion 5, because she's actually a great sort of like combo with Sario or like some other characters, and probably like with when Lolly Merlin comes out, of course you can actually use her on that team in order to like to actually protect your Bloody Merlin from dying. You can actually use her with the one Ascanor to protect him from getting one-shotted from the other one, the one on the other team. So keep that in mind. She's actually amazing overall, and she has like not bad CC, and her passive is actually pretty good. She has no use in the game. He has no use in the game. She's good for Red Demon. She's actually not bad like at all, so she's actually good for Red Demon, but she's an exclusive character because she have a buff basically. So yeah, she has no use in the game currently. Lilia is amazing overall. I would place her here in God if she didn't have like a low CC. But you're going to be seeing her in every final boss. There is a strategy around her. She's going to be like boosting a lot of Pierce teams that requires a lot of Pierce because of her passive, which is like increase the Pierce rate by 50%, I believe, based on her like own Pierce. So she's actually a really good unit. She have a heal, she have a drain. Her passive is actually a drain, like her ultimate is a drain as well, sorry. So yeah, she's very good for a lot of things, so keep that in mind. I would place her in God if it wasn't like for her low CC, but she can actually, she's very versatile. So yeah, he's actually good for the knighthood boss, but I'm gonna place him like, because it's such a late game kind of like thing. I'm gonna place him for currently has no use in the game, because not a lot of people are going to be pushing knighthood bosses and going to like, because like unless you are in a competitive knighthood boss or a knighthood where they're going to be trying to like to reach like the top 42 or the 32 depending on the time you're watching this video, there's no use to actually like work on him because he has a low CC and he's not used for anything almost, but that can change in the future. He's amazing overall. He's a great association for a lot of characters. He's Demon Meliodas, so, and you get him quite like often, and he's on a lot of banners, so that's why I'm gonna place him there, because he's easy to get. And plus, like, he's a good kind of like association for Darieri if you're planning to work on her in the future. Has no use in the game right now. Death Pierce, I'm gonna place him amazing overall if you actually have like the resources to actually spend on him, because his passive is actually really broken, which is like reduce like crit resistance and crit defense by 30%, and he's very good. But the only problem is he's such an expensive unit to actually work on, because you're going to be going out of your way to actually max him out. So I'm gonna place him good for a certain task in the game because of his passive. I'm not gonna place him amazing overall. I'm gonna keep it there. But if you actually like work on him and you're able to like to raise his CC, you can actually place him on amazing overall. But I'm gonna place him for good for a certain task just because of his passive. He's amazing overall. He's very versatile, and he's used in knighthood wars right now, like very late game kind of thing, but he used to be like one of the best units in the game, because he's used in PvP frequently, and plus like he used to, at least like before like the one Ascanor came out and stuff, and he changed the meta again, but he used to be like in the Glue Eater team, which is like consists of Lost Vein, Meliodas, and plus him, and plus like a Green Merlin in the back, and plus like Red Gother or like someone else, or like Goddess Elizabeth, and you just like ult rush and actually like one shot the whole team, because he has such a strong ultimate. But he have clans and so on, so I think like if you don't have Lilia, you can actually bring King as well, because he's very versatile in some final bosses or some bosses scenario. Currently has no use in the game. 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 She's good for a certain task because of her passive, which increase resistance and stuff. So you can work on her slowly, but it's not a unit that you need right now. This one is currently has no use in the game. Currently has no use in the game. Currently has no use in the game. She's situational. Depends on the final boss, to be honest with you. This Noshak Ban is actually really good. I'm gonna place him in good for a certain task because he's good in the Red Demon because of his like ult, and plus like his damage output, which is very good. So I'm gonna place him there. Like God doesn't have any unit so far, but hopefully we're gonna come there. But yeah, he's good for Red Demon. Plus like you're going to be getting him for free. We have a lot of units for Red Demon. She's good for a certain task because of her ultimate, and plus like because of her passive, which is very good. And she's mainly used in the knighthood, like knighthood bosses. So you're gonna be seeing her like as a recommended, but she's an expensive unit that you slowly work on maybe in the future. So keep that in mind. I'm gonna place him for no use in the game. You probably can use him early on in the game because he beats a lot of the story stages, but once you reach like mid game to late game where you have all the characters, these characters fall off and you can't use them anywhere. He's good for a certain task in the game, just because of his passive, which is like if he dies he actually give full ultimate to the whole team, which is very, very good. That's why he's going to be next to the Suicide Liz. Where's the Suicide Liz? Yeah, they're like this. They pretty much like have the same passive, but this one actually gives only 2 ultimate gouges and heals to full HP. This guy gives full ultimate gouges and he actually doesn't heal, so he's actually much more like, I would say, like the better version of this Liz, but without the heals. But so that's why it's like, since these are like Suicide Squad like units, I would recommend you guys keeping them at level 1. Don't level them up, just unlock their passive like whenever you can, but leveling them is not an option because you want them to stay level 1 in order to die very quickly. He's good for a certain task if you don't have the 1 Ascanor. He's actually good for Red Demon if you want to, or you have him leveled up. She's one of the best buffers in the game right now, and she can be used for a lot of scenarios. So you don't have to like to make her UR gear or anything. She can be like HP, SSR, HP and defense, but she's a great buffer, and plus she's used in some of the knighthood bosses as well. So yeah, she has a certain task in the game right now. She doesn't like have the greatest damage. She's just there because of her cosmetic effects, which is like guaranteed enhancement materials whenever doing the raid, but she's such an exclusive unit that you're not gonna get. I don't even have her right now, so yeah. He's a whale unit. He's the more that you spend, the more that he's actually going to be better. But right now his CC got out CC'd by a lot of the new units, and he didn't get a buff or anything. But he's a whale unit because of his passive, which is like if he actually out CCs any of the units in PvP, he actually blocks their ult gouges from being filled, which is, he's very versatile and very good if you have the money to actually level him up and spending, but I wouldn't recommend it. She doesn't have any use in the game currently, but she actually started to be good just because of Assault Meliodas. She can be a great addition to Assault Meliodas, so I'm gonna place her here, and she has not a bad CC of course as well. I would say amazing overall. He's actually has a decent CC, and plus like his counter card makes him very, very good like in a lot of scenarios. So if you don't have the right characters for tower trials, he can actually be used as well. So I would say amazing overall because you can actually find him and use him in PvP as well, so he's a bit versatile, so I'm gonna place him there. She has the same, Zanari is the same as Jenna, or the other way. I think this is Zanari, this is Jenna, but they're pretty much the same. They're there just because of their cosmetic effect, which is like guaranteed enhancement materials. I would say good to some extent if you want to have fun. Unfortunately, he doesn't have like any good use in the game. He's not going to be good for farming or final bosses or raids or anything, but he can be fun in PvP if you have him maxed out and have all his cosmetics. I enjoy him so much, but unfortunately he has no use in the game, but maybe it will change in the future, so we have to wait and see. Red Mono, she doesn't have any use in the game. LV is God, his passive is broken, and his ult is broken. Like his passive is actually increased, like the he's actually like I think rank up like the cards if he actually gets crits. So he's crazy. He's one of the best units in the game. So yeah, he's a festival unit. He have like a decent CC as well. I would say she's amazing overall. She's used for every raid, for every final bosses, for every knighthood boss. She's actually one of the most used unit in the game right now when it comes to PvE content. So I would say amazing overall. If she was actually good for PvP, I would place her godlike, but I'm gonna place her amazing overall just because of her PvE kind of like limitations. So I'm gonna place her there. She's the same as Zanari because of her cosmetic, which is guaranteed cosmetic enhancement materials. He has no use in the game right now. Unfortunately, he has no use in the game right now. Unfortunately, she's actually have a good task right now. She used to not have any uses in the game like previously, but now she does because of Assault Meliodas. She's a great addition to the Assault Meliodas team. I'm gonna put him in good for a certain task in the game, or like good for some extent. Just because of his like his damage and also like CC, and plus like he's not that hard to get because he's in the part 2 ticket. So yeah, currently has no use in the game. She's god. She's broken because of her passive, because of her shield, her heal. She's like 6 units in 1. She's the most dominating character in PvP right now. You can actually put her on any like kind of like teams, and she make them work. So I'm gonna place her there. Currently has no use in the game until like the new knighthood actually comes out and you want to like to score higher. She's actually good. I'm gonna put him good for a certain task in the game, just in case you don't have the one Ascanor for some reason. And plus like he's a unit that's been given for free, so he's easy to like to get 6/6 as well. And during events, his passive actually gets increased to instead of like 15% to 50%, so you can actually, if you're stuck in the story, you can actually use him for some scenarios. But other than that, he's actually no use in the game. Like he's once you reach like mid game to late game, he has no use in the game whatsoever. So I'm gonna place him there because like once you reach mid game to late game, you probably have a lot of characters worked on that has UR, and they're probably gonna be doing more damage than a character that doesn't have UR. So I'm gonna place him here. He used to not have like any uses in the game before, but he became better with Assault Meliodas, and he's actually good for the Knighthood Wars for the very future if you reach late game. And plus, he's good for Assault Meliodas, so I'm going to be placing him there. And did you guys see that I said he? I didn't say she anymore, because a lot of people tell me stop calling him she. He's good for Red Demon if you don't have the one Ascanor, but not a lot of people is gonna have him. She currently, all the Attack on Titan collab units doesn't have any users in the game, unfortunately. He doesn't have any users in the game right now. Droll is amazing overall. I love Droll. He's actually used in a lot of scenarios. He's actually good for a lot of characters, and he's actually you can actually make a lot of different combos with, and he's good for Knighthood Wars, and he's going to be good for the new Knighthood boss when he actually comes out to global. So he's amazing overall, and he has a decent CC that can make him a good association for a lot of characters. So I'm gonna place him there. He recently got a buff, like, to be honest, but he still has no use in the game. Levi unfortunately has no use in the game. Currently she has no use in the game. Zeldris is amazing overall because he's actually good for you see that I placed this guy here and this guy placed here because this guy is much more versatile than this one. This one has ult removal, and plus like he has really high CC, and plus like he's very versatile with his card and so on. So I'm gonna place him there. Amazing overall. So, and he's a great association for a lot of characters, so I'm gonna place him there. This guy has no use in the game. He's amazing overall, same as the green version of them. They're both really amazing, and plus they boost up like characters like crazy. So I would actually recommend like investing in Blue Draw or the green one because they're really good. Like they're really future proof as well, and you can actually use them in different combos if you want to. He's a well unit. He's actually a good unit if you have money, and if you're willing to spend a lot of resources, like getting him 6/6 when it comes to ultimate, getting like his like equipment to like to 15%, like, so that's a lot of hammers, a lot of anvils, and plus like you want to like to make him UR gear because of his passive, which is if he out CCs like the enemy, he's actually going to be reducing like the defense and crit resistance by 40%, I believe. So he's actually really good in PvP, but other than that he's not used for anything. So yeah, she's currently has no use in the game. She's good for one final boss, which is like Bond when he came out, to score like higher, but she has no use in the game. Green Easton doesn't have any uses in the game, but you can actually use her in PvP, so I'm gonna place her here for fun. I used her recently and I made a video about her. She's actually like actually fun to use and so on, and she's used for knighthood wars in some scenarios. So yeah, it's up to you really, but currently she has no use in the game, so it's a personal preference on how you want to play the game. Gahard, she's used for nothing. She's good for scoring in the final boss, like the current final boss, but other than that, it's a whale unit. Like you don't want to go out of your way like maximizing like one unit for one task, so it's not recommended at all. He's good for a certain task if you want to like to use him for tower trials just because of his passive, and he does some decent damage in some scenarios as well. His passive is actually increased like damage by 30%, I believe, and decrease the damage taken by 30%, so you can actually use him in tower trials, and plus like use him in some scenarios such as like the final boss if you want to farm it or something. So yeah, it's recommended. She's actually good for a certain task. She's actually there to like to stop people from rushing ultimate. She's good for to some extent if you have her like maxed out. She has no use in the game. She's good in the like the Festival King kind of like PvP kind of like combo, but other than that she's not used for anything, so I'm gonna place her there unfortunately. And the main reason is that Festival King like is one of the worst festivals in the game right now. He's not used for anything, especially in PvP. He has some uses in the game. I would place him here if it wasn't for gold farming. He's like currently good for gold farming. I have the game like open here, and this is the combo that I made a video about. Oh my god, the game is lagging like hell. But he's good because of his passive, which is like make Shin does an extra damage. So I'm gonna place him there, good for a certain task. I'm gonna place him in God because of his broken passive, which make every single character OP, even if it's bad, which is like increase the attack related stats by 7% for each turn for like 5 turns, I believe, which is crazy. He makes like a lot of bad units good. Like unfortunately it's limited to the same race in order for it to proc, but he's actually really good, and he made or placed like the red Gother into shame because he's actually broken. He's actually really good. I like him. She's a fun unit, but currently she has no use in the game. She's a fun unit to use, don't get me wrong though. Kyo is amazing overall. He's good for some scenarios, but unfortunately if you're going to be using him in PvP, he gets one-shotted by the one Escanor. She's amazing overall. I think she's a good character. She's very fun. She's good, but she has no use in the game right now. Shin has no use in the game. Like Green Shin is actually good for a certain task in the game because I didn't see him here, but he's actually good for a certain task in the game. So yeah, he's actually good for gold farming and farming overall. So I'm gonna place him there. Rugal is amazing overall because of his passive, and of course like he has a decent damage as well, of course, if you happen to use him, and plus like the 4v4, if it ever comes back, Pierce is going to be relevant again. Sario is broken. Like the grace system in this game is nuts and actually like broken. So yeah, and Sario takes everything that I talked about on broken units and put them into one basically. He's such a great unit. He has like one of the highest damage like in the game, and plus like he's good association, and plus like he has a decent CC and everything. So I'm gonna place him there. Tarmio, I'm gonna place him in God, to be honest with you. A lot of people are gonna place him in amazing, but I feel like he's overlooked because he has one of the highest CC in the game if given HP and defense, and plus he's so versatile because he has the heal with his ultimate, he has like the ult removal, he have like the attack reduction or the damage reduction, and plus like he's a good association for a lot of characters, and plus if you put him like as an association, his grace is gonna proc and he's going to be healing each turn, or like each of your own turn is going to be healing a certain percentage based on your defense. So I'm gonna place him in God because a lot of other characters or a lot of content creators, I would say, actually overlooked how broken Tarmiel is. The one Escanor, it goes without saying that he's actually broken. Even when the 5-star awakening comes to the game, he's going to be having one of the highest CC in the game, and plus like his damage and his card percentage scale up like crazy. So I'm going to be placing him in God because he's broken. His ult does damage, his cards does damage. He's a great association for a lot of characters because of his CC, so I'm gonna place him there. Festival King, he's good, he's amazing overall just because of his CC. He has a high CC, and I would place him for no use in the game, or good for a certain task in the game, if it wasn't for that he's actually very good if you have ult level and all his cosmetic for anvil farming. Otherwise I would place him in a good for a certain task, but he happened to be a festival unit. That means that he has a high CC or a decent CC. He's somewhat good in Knighthood Wars, and also like he's very good when it comes to like to anvil farming if you have ult levels and you have his cosmetics maxed out and everything. So I'm gonna place him in amazing overall, but I would say like he's a whale unit that you want to like to go out of your way. Like he doesn't like, he's not like a character that a lot of people are gonna have maxed out. That's all that I'm saying. She's not good for anything. He's decent to have in the back, but he currently doesn't have any use in the game. But you can use him in PvP if you want to because of his passive, but I'm gonna place him good for a certain task in the game just because he's a bit versatile if you want to use him, but otherwise I would have placed him in not good for anything. Assault Meliodas is amazing overall depending on in the future, like how many characters or demons we're going to be having in the game, and of course like it depends on if you have him maxed out or not. He's not the best unit, but he's a fun unit to actually use, and plus like you have a decent CC, and plus like if you have like the commandment maxed out or you happen to have him maxed out, he's actually very fun to use, especially in PvP. So I'm gonna place him in amazing overall just because I love the unit and I enjoy the unit so much, but of course like some of you didn't summon for him, so yeah, it's a personal preference. She's very good, I like her. She can be good for some scenarios in PvP, and you can actually like pair her up with Assault Meliodas. I recently made a video about that, and she's very versatile because she have the taunt of draw. I'm gonna place her in amazing overall, to be honest, because if you happen to have the red dairy area maxed out, you're probably going to be using the same cosmetics as this one, so she's going to be maxed out. She's very versatile because she have the taunt as draw, she have a decent CC, of course like she have the buff removal, and her ultimate actually hits decent on single targets, so I'm gonna place her there. She's good to some extent. She's actually a fun unit. Of course, like you have to go out of your way to make her UR gear, and plus like to get her cosmetics, but other than that, she's good for PvP. She's a decent unit with a decent CC, with a decent damage, I would say, but it requires you going out of your way to actually make her UR and so on. So if you don't have the resources or you're like very new, I wouldn't recommend like working on her, but once you reach late game, you probably want to like to invest on her and use her for fun if you want to. So yeah, Bloody Merlin, he's currently not in the game right now, but she's actually, I'm gonna place her in God because once the ReZero collab like comes out, she's going to be changing like the meta entirely. The one Escanor is not going to be the best unit like when it comes to PvP anymore. She's basically going to be dominating PvP. She's gonna be a meta changer. She have a decent CC. She have like a crazy damage. She's really good for Great Demon. Of course, I don't recommend you summoning for her because her banner is trash, and the ReZero like collab is going to be coming right after her. And that's a banner that never gonna come back to the game, but she's gonna come back at some point. So if you're not in a rush and you're not like competing to reach like a top 100 in PvP, for example, or like champion 1 each week, you probably can actually like skip her and actually wait until the ReZero, summon on the ReZero on a character that is so exclusive and they're probably never come back again. So I would rather like get those characters, get them in my box, and you never know if they're going to be good for something else. So yeah, she's currently have no use in the game. No use in the game unless you don't have Derriere for Crimson. He's good for Crimson. They currently don't. I don't want to make an opinion about them just because they're currently not in the game right now. So I'm gonna wait with my review because you have to like to make your own thoughts, because like the YouTubers are going to be excited about characters all the time because they're new and they're going to be building up the hype, and they want like people to like to watch their videos, and they're going to be saying that these units are good or that unit is good or she's broken by one showcase, because they want to like to attract people attention. But I'm going to be waiting with my review or my saying until I actually see them in the game. But they seem decent, like on paper, but hopefully once they come to global, because I'm a global main, I'm going to be thoroughly put them in the test, and I'll let you know, guys, once I actually update this list. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this sort of like tier list update. I've been going through this tier list like over and over again. I changed it up a bit because like some characters actually came to the game and changed the meta and made more characters like more valuable as a unit base. So that's why I actually changed it up a bit, and I hope you guys found this helpful. And if you did, please don't forget to leave a like. As always, I really appreciate it, and do help the channel to grow. And as I mentioned earlier, 80% of you that watch the videos are not subscribed, and it would help a lot if you guys drop a like. It's free and it would help the channel a lot. With that being said, thank you guys for watching, and catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye.